third. Carr, Adams, downfield. He's got it! Touchdown! Las Vegas! Third. Carr, Adams.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of ISO Block with Ruben Brown, brought to you by Believe in Bills podcast as well. Also, I'm just a general reference. Of course, we have the legendary Hall of Famer himself, Ruben Brown. What's going on, Rube? How you feeling today?
I'm good, man. I'm relaxing. You know, we on the bye week, so it's chill time, and it's time to get caught up with what's happening around everywhere else.
Absolutely. It is a great moment, you know, again, victory week. So it's always a happy week after that. And we get a bye week this week, you know, we get to kind of chill, relax, you know, there's no anxiety of, are the Bills going to win, et cetera, et cetera. So it's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Also want to let you guys know that this is brought to you by the good folks over at Bet Online. And so we're going to go ahead and get into a lot of topics today. We got, you know, maybe some Bills offensive line disrespect. You know, we'll see what that is. And we're going to talk about a little bit of Von Miller, his impact that he has on this team. We're talk about the bye week coming up and what the Bills need to do to get better and prepare for the rest of the season. We're going to take a look around the AFC, see what that playoff picture is looking like, and hey, who might have to come through Buffalo, you know, maybe potentially take a shot at winning the Super Bowl. And there's some trade talk because, you know, there's a lot of good players around the league who play for bad teams and, you know, they want to play for good teams. And you know, a few of those players might be coming to Buffalo. So let's start off with that. Let's start off with the trade talk, right? You know, I mean, OBJ isn't necessarily a trade candidate because he's a free agent, but, you know, that's still a huge still a huge player out there to go get. Christian McCaffrey's out there. They got Cam Akers, the running back from the Rams, who is on the trade block. Chase Claypool is said to be on the trade block from the Steelers. What are your thoughts? Who do you want to see the Bills go out there and get?
That's a tough question because when you're in the position that the Buffalo Bills are in, when they're in the driver's seat, if they need a particular player, they could cherry pick and get the best one for whatever their particular need is right now. But here's the thing about people, for example, like Odell Beckham Jr. He's such a high-profile guy. The system and the team is already rolling. With adding him to that, deter from what the progress that the team is already making, what kind of adjustments will happen. Same thing with McCaffrey. I mean, he's a great running back, but now you have something that's working that you're going to adjust some of the players to add, you know, a particular guy. Now, in my personal opinion, I think it would be easier if the Buffalo Bills were in a position where, hey, we had a couple of receivers hurt and Odell Beckham's on the market. Of course, let's go get him. But right now, our receiving core and the people that receive, everybody's catching, running backs catching, everybody, every position is seeing the ball and people are producing. So we're not in a health situation where we need to add anyone at the skill position. So it would be a terrible risk to do that. Now, you did ask me where I would like to see someone put on. I would like the Bills to find someone in the free agent market that adds to their depth in some way, in whatever capacity. I'm an offensive lineman, so I would say first look out there for an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman that has some skills that add to the depth of what you already have. You can't get enough big guys. And then I would look around in the locker room and see what other needs could use some depth. Special teams help in different ways. you know, and if you're looking for special team stands downs, you might get a backup tight end, a backup running back, a backup linebacker, a backup DB, something like that. That does not really cause any disruption to what momentum the Bills have gotten so far, if you understand, you know, because, you know, I know Von Miller's been champion possibly bringing in Odell Beckham. That's a great option if Von Miller's gonna be responsible for for him, you know. Then I feel a lot better. But as the Bills sit right now, the Bills they don't need any high profile help. I would say they could definitely use help in the depth department.
Okay, all right. So a lot of the speculation around the league is that Odell doesn't necessarily want to come into Buffalo to be a third option. But I will say, and you kind of said something similar, not quite the same thing, but you basically, you know, said we don't necessarily need Odell, and I agree with you. However, I'll say this: Jamison Crowder is injured; he's going to be gone for us this season. Isaiah McKenzie, not great the last game, right? And we know Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs are playing like superstars right now.
Right.
So looking at Odell Beckham Jr., when he went to the Rams, he originally went there with, you know, being a third option which is, you know, that was what was happening, right? You got Cooper Kupp and you had Robert Woods at the time. Unfortunately, Robert Woods tore his ACL the week Odell Beckham got there. So, you know, OBJ became the second option. But do you think that he could potentially be like, do you think he'd fit as a third option in Buffalo, like just overall?
I think his maturity is there where he could do it. Sometimes we speculate what it would be like dealing with a high profile receiver, but you see how Diggs came in here and found his space and did what he needed to do to be a number one receiver. Odell's got a championship under his belt, so it could lean in our favor if he considers it, and the Bills want to add him. I think he could easily fit in there, and I don't think they have to bring him in promising him, "Hey, you're our guy." You know what they usually do to receivers in his position. They have to be told, "Hey, I'm going to get the ball. I'm the number one guy. The quarterback's going to look to me." But he has to know, and the people around him would know, if he's talking to Buffalo, he would have to end up being the second or a third option. He definitely wouldn't be the first.
Yeah, there's no way you could come to Buffalo and be the first, you know, not with Stephon Diggs in the fold. I mean, really, even a guy like Dawson Knox and, you know.
But I think he could possibly have the maturity to come in and do it. Now, if he has the maturity to come in and play along with Diggs, Gabriel Davis,
So let me ask you: is maturity your biggest thing with Odell? Because if we take a look at, you know, at the Giants, he wasn't mature at all. It's not even, you know, there's no mincing words there, right? But when he went to the Browns, he endured. You know, it was, you know, it probably wasn't a great look that his father put out a video, et cetera, et cetera. But him personally, Odell Beckham himself endured. You know, even with a quarterback who couldn't get him the football, you know, with the offense that was supposed to be one of the best in the league but wasn't performing, he was still doing his job, right? And then even with the Rams, it looked like he kind of had it figured out. He was a little more wise and mature and could, you know, compose and handle himself appropriately. And do you think that the Bills, the culture that Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have put together here in Buffalo, would be able to keep him in line? Because hey, there was another superstar diva guy who didn't, you know, really get along with people at his old place, which was Stephon Diggs. He came here and he gets along swimmingly with Josh and everyone, for that matter.
You know, the best remedy to any type of troubles that any player faces throughout the playing time. The best remedy is winning. And with the Bills, they're winning and they have strong potential for winning. They're backing it up. So I think a guy like Odell would be dying to audition to be a part of the Buffalo Bills team. I mean, I would think it's more on the Bills side. Like I'm saying, he may want to come from the Bills, and Bills probably be like, "Yeah, let me check you out and see if you fit." Whereas, oh wow, you're so great. Let's take you right now, sight unseen, because we need it. Where the Bills is like, oh, this could be nice. Let's fly you in, kick the tires. You like it, we go. If not, we're not in a position to fawn all over you. We respect your abilities and skills, but they got something good going. And if he meshes well with that, then boy, oh boy, watch out. I mean, because that's a no-brainer. We can all sit here and speculate how great throw Josh, Diggs, and Odell. Man, I don't know. You're gonna have to go call Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White them up to come help for that, because it's gonna be a monster. So, I'm with you, Justice. I think Odell has shown a lot of maturity over the years as a receiver, and he possibly has the mentality now to come in and figure out a way to come and make a contribution or be a part, opposed to it being about him getting his success. It's like, hey, I could get down with this team, and plus his friend Vaughn is here, so I wouldn't turn him away.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't turn him away. I'd kick the tires. I'll holler. We'd be like, yo, let's go out and let's have a drink, sit down, have steak and something, talk and see if we mesh.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to sell the farm to go get anybody. The Bills in the driver's seat. Right. You know what I mean? They could win with what they got.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they have been. They absolutely have been dominating NFL teams, making them look like college teams out there. They already beat who, if it's not us, that's the best team in the league. It was the Chiefs, and we just beat them. So hey, you're not wrong. I don't think they need Christian McCaffrey or Odell Beckham, but having them wouldn't hurt either. But
no, make you not stronger.
It definitely would. Let's get into a little bit of disrespect that the Bills are getting, right?
Yeah.
And you look at the Bills, we just beat the number 2 team in the NFL. We ran through everyone else, and still a little disrespect there with the offensive line being ranked number 22 in the league.
Right.
Well, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I haven't done a full analysis, a breakdown of all the offensive linemen on the Buffalo Bills, because, I watch the games all the time. I've been Buffalo forever, so I catch pieces of all of their good plays and their bad plays. And trust me, whenever the guys, offensive linemen for Buffalo, have a bad play, everybody calls me up like I'm their coach, or I don't know any of these guys. I'd like to meet them and chat with them and discuss some things I think that will help them, but I don't know them. I would just watch from a distance. And what I see from this group is they take a lot of heat for the success and failures of whatever happens in the run game and in the pass game. If Josh gets hit, the offensive line isn't rocking well. If the running game didn't go, the offensive line. And this isn't true, because this is a really solid, feisty, talented group. Are they Larry Allen and Anthony Munoz across the board? No, not even close. But this is a good, solid group that is actually developing right before our eyes. I think the early injuries and guys getting their feet wet. For example, Spencer Brown's young kid. What's his second year? or so. And he had some time last year built up, and now he's our guy. I think he can play other positions. He's a feisty joker now. You ain't gonna mess with his Spencer, and he's gonna have the back of his quarterback.
Huge,
big man. He's a big man. I was on the sideline and I stood looking up at this dude. I was like, man, if you were playing, I don't know if I would have made it to the league with this big joker. And he's got the right mentality and feisty mentality that offensive lineman needs. Ryan Bates got experience and he's a fighter. I think people try to discredit each one of these guys' blocking abilities. And Mitch Morrissey, I really think, he's a versatile, smart guy that battles against a lot of top-notch talent.
Yeah, the best defensive tackles in the league, they run through him.
They go through him, and he's in there battling against these guys. And let me tell you, people, you have no idea facing these guys when your quarterback's strong suit is to be about 5, 6, 7 yards deep in the pocket, standing tall and throwing that joker the entire game. You start the game snapping the ball from shotgun, and you got a monster standing over top of you trying to pass rush over you. You try that. I think this offensive line is actually my underdog offensive line of the year. I want them to continue to be the offensive underdogs the entire year. I don't want the rest of the world to start all of a sudden praising them, because I do know they're an imperfect group, but they're as good as there is in the NFL. And if you don't believe it, look at the stats. Who's the number one offense in the NFL? All right. And when they say number one offense, number one running backs, they like the quarterback did it all by himself. he snapped the ball to himself. He blocked the guy. Now, Josh looked like at times he does that.
Fair enough, yeah.
But I know that I see Sappho and Dawkins and Brown out there laying people out for him and giving him that extra time that he needs, or giving him that time so he can stand tough in the pocket and deliver that ball to whoever it needs. And I know for sure that each one of these guys have had some one-on-one matchup mix-ups, and here every lineman's going to have that. But as a group, the last 2 weeks, I think that Miami game was the game where I started seeing like, okay, here's the dog in them. They don't have a real hot, tough, grueling game, but they plugged it out and they was fighting. They was in that game. And then they come back after that and have an amazing game. And listen, most impressive game that the offensive line has had, nobody giving credit. O-line won that game in Kansas City. And to rank them at 22, I call out the people that make these assumptions. I say no one should be listening to these people because they're not trustworthy. If you say that the Bills' offensive line, I don't like Mitch Morrissey's. Why?
He's good. He's damn good.
He's damn good. Listen, you love Jeff Saturday. He snapped for Peyton Manning. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Why is that okay when Josh Allen's got a center and his center is pretty damn good and it's been holding up? And Josh's jersey ain't all dirty, guys. And most of the times when his jersey get dirty, that's because he went out there and wanted to do that.
Right.
Now, the O-line is doing their job. I think at the end of the day, I don't know which guy will eventually get a Pro Bowl nod, but I think at least two of these guys are for sure. Sappho should be on his way to, I think, don't he already have Pro Bowl from Tennessee?
I think he does have a Pro Bowl.
Yeah, he's got a Pro Bowl, and they're gonna have to recognize the offensive line. I really think so. At the end of the day, they're gonna have to recognize this offensive line. And I'll tell you who else is gonna have to recognize this offensive line. And if they doing the type of self-scouting that they should, it should be happening right now during the bye week, offensive coordinator going to recognize what he just saw the last couple of weeks out of his offensive line. And that makes me excited because I think that'll make them lean a lot more to some run plays that are effective that they should use that's going to help them down the road. So the hell with those writers and pundits and people that say 22nd off.
I think a lot of people, when they put those numbers, etc., I think they are incorporating the lack of run game we have into that. And I also think that we talked about this before. If you don't go into the game with the intention of we're going to pound the rock, we're going to run through you, you know what I mean? I think the offensive line, the guys have like a different mindset, a different approach to the game. You know what I mean? So I think a lot has to do with it, the fact that they just don't want to run the ball. Like there's not a ton of opportunity there, right? I also think that, we kind of mentioned briefly earlier how Josh maybe makes the line look a little better than they are because he can avoid pressures and things like that. But if I'm not mistaken, you blocked for Doug Flutie, right?
Yes, I did.
So can you talk to us a little bit about how there are times where you're blocking your guy and then the quarterback might escape the pocket and now it creates a problem for you?
It does. Now, Doug made me look good.
Okay.
All right. He helped me look good. And early on when Doug first came, I was used to more pocket guys that's going to stay there. And I had a kind of sense of where they might escape to, and the time that they might escape. So that's what I was traditionally used to with Jim and all the other guys. Well, here comes Doug, which very unorthodox and way more like sandlot football, something that we used to play in schoolyard, man. That's really how that guy played. And so John Fina and I had to tell him, like, yo, when you get ready to take off, man, you got to give a word because, we might end up blocking the guy into you. You know what I mean? Or assist him to get to you, or you might not be able to escape. So yell out something like, let's roll, we out or something in the moment so we can understand that your clock went off and it's time for you to go. Because
just for the fans, what did you guys settle on? What was the word? What was the phrase?
I can't remember because I remember us bringing up let roll out or I'm out, something like that. Okay. It was a conversation about that. We went back and forth for a little bit about it, and it was fun to talk about it with Doug about it because it was like, yeah, this is a little bit of a relief for us because this guy's not going to stay back there all day, and I'm not going to tug and push on this big 300-pounder and have him practically fall on me to get to the quarterback. Now this guy might have to go run to go get my quarterback. And I'm like, all right, thank you. He just ran 5 yards over there. I'm blocking you here. You want to run 5 yards over there? Go get him.
Be my guest.
Go try to get him. And you ain't going to get him because he's going to throw it to Eric Moulds. So it can cost you trouble with a scrambling quarterback or a guy that's not in the pocket if you're not used to it. If he takes off and leaves in areas that you're not expecting him to. If I'm expecting to block the guy over me and keeping him from penetrating to my inside, I'm going to try to block everything to my outside. Now, if you drop back and something happens and you want to scramble and you scramble to my outside, now you just scramble right into where I'm flowing things to. I'm allowed to let penetration to go that way because it's not going to affect the play. I'm avoiding inside penetration because that affects it quicker and more damage to the play. So, with some guys, you had that orchestrated. But with Doug, that wasn't the case. And we had to kind of start realizing, all right, this dude can end up on my outside, my inside.
Yeah.
But once he communicated with us, like what his flow, what his thought process was, then we could be like, all right, all right, I can roll with that. But when he first did it, it was kind of like, yo, man, you about to get killed because I'm pushing the guy that way, So
yeah.
It's fun, depending on what you got to know what you got as an offensive line, whether that quarterback wants to stand there and wait to the last minute or that guy's going to pull it down and roll out.
Okay, fair enough. Speaking of another guy who doesn't mind running to go get a quarterback is Von Miller. But actually, I'm sorry. I have another kind of just like, as a football enthusiast myself, I love, when I have the opportunity to talk to people who have done it, let alone a legend who, is a candidate to be in the Hall of Fame right now. What is your process for watching film?
All right, so I like to watch the full game first. No, just regular, like you watch it on TV. Right. And then after that, I'll get thankfully to the NFL, they actually let you download the end zone copy and the sideline copy.
All 32 or all 22, excuse me.
And you can go back and play it. And that gives you end zone vision, watching as if you're standing like you're playing Madden.
Yep.
That's what you're looking at. You get to see the whole field and everything. And I go through all my processes that I use when I was playing pro ball. I usually start with everything up front and move backwards. I look at the offensive line, the formation, the lineup, and how everybody's on top of each other. And then as the ball snaps, I just follow the progression. Follow initially the offensive line's movements, and then see where the linebackers and the quarterbacks and the running backs and receivers start forming. So it goes out like that. It starts in with the offensive line, and then I slowly start looking outward. And in doing that, when I got film, I can rewind it over and over and slow it down. But when it's real time, I still hold that process. When I start by watching the ball snap, and as it's progressing, my eye quickly goes to the interior offensive line, the tackles, maybe tight ends and running backs, depending on how the play is flowing, and then the quarterback, and then I switch my eyes over to kind of catch where the linebackers and the DBs have fallen into place and stuff like that. And it gets easier over time because of all the football I've played. So my eye can easily bounce around because I've already know where these parts should be as it progresses, and if something's out of place, I'll notice it really quick. I mean, like, oh, that guy missed his block because that linebacker shouldn't be in that gap, or that D lineman shouldn't have penetrated right there, or they the receive, so I hope I ain't get too complicated, but
no, I think for a lot of us who, want to learn more of the analytics of the game and how, play calling works and how, just the concepts and the raw, everything works. I think that we'll break it down for them a little bit so that they have a better understanding. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's get more. Watch the ball first.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So guys, anybody out there want to go to scouting school or anything, start with start up front and then work your way back.
Start up front.
Okay. All right. Speaking of starting up front, Von Miller, right? We look at what Von Miller has done. He's come to this team. He's reinvigorated this defensive line back to the old days of Mario Addison, or back to the old days. I won't quite say Bruce Smith yet, right? Maybe, potentially.
Never know.
They're doing really good right now. So, I mean, it's not impossible.
No.
but they are doing very, very well. And I would say Aaron Schobel, Ryan Denny, those
Yeah.
guys, you know.
Listen, man, I'm glad you brought that name up, dog. I
Aaron
played with
Schobel,
Schobel, man.
yeah, he was a dog.
Dog, he don't get no love like he should get love. He should get
Don't.
mad love. Since you brought him up, man, let's give him his flowers. Awesome, funny, quiet, damn teammate. I was happy to play with him, man, and we had a lot of fun. And he definitely didn't get enough credit and love. You know, he went through them lean years with the Bills, but he was putting it down.
Yeah, he was.
Put it down. You can't take nothing away from him. Put it down.
At all. Yeah, he was a dog. But yeah, Von Miller has reinvigorated this defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also keeping us very prominent in the national media as well, right?
Yeah.
He's talking about all these people that could be coming. He's talking about all these people that, you know. So first of all, how important is Von Miller to this team? And what do you think is the potential of this defensive line? What they could be come the year's end?
Oh wow! I start with the last question. Is they could be champions, plain and simple. The type of football that they play and what Vaughn is suited for. And I saw Vaughn, but I was like, wow, how effective is Vaughn in a dog fight when they running at you, and it's not just all pass rush. And I've seen what he can do in the run game and all other ways to be effective. And you can see his veteran experience being able to spread to the rest of the D-line and the defense, and also being a bridge between the coaches and the players on the field. He's a coach in some aspects of his ability and knowledge right now. So that's really great for the immediate feedback on the field at the time, because he knows what the coaches are looking for from that defense. And he can convey that right there on the field with the players. And the players are going to look, they're looking up to him. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if Vaughn says, hey, young fella, step it up a little bit over here, it'd be like, yes, sir, Mr. Miller.
Absolutely.
They're not, I don't think that maybe they call him Vaughn because they know him now, but I'm sure they was like Mr. Miller at first. Yeah. So these are the things that Vaughn has been able to bring. I'm happy that he is who he is, was advertised as, because so many times in the NFL, a guy may had a good year or had a Super Bowl, and then you get him, and it's like he's smoking a cigar all year.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I hate to do this because I really, really like Khalil Mack, but when he was with the Raiders, straight dog. I mean, top 2 or 3 in the league. Then when he went to the Bears, it just kind of tapered off a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? And I think this is another thing we got to give Vaughn for a credit. I think the situation when you see a great player leave one organization, may have some success and go to another place, a lot of times it's because the team that gets him don't know how to use him, how he initially got their success. A la Mario Williams for the Buffalo Bills. Think he's a way better player than we used him or got to enjoy from him.
His first couple seasons, he was a dominant. Then when he got to Rex Ryan had him dropping in the coverage and things like that, and it didn't look as good. So yeah, that's very true.
But he was a outstanding player, and he doesn't get enough credit, which a lot of people, come to Buffalo, we're underappreciated organization, group of players all around. Just in general, the city conveys that. If you ever talk to anyone from Buffalo, they'll tell you how much flack they get from the rest of the country because we're in Buffalo. You know what I mean? All right. But what Von Miller is starting to tell the world, and I'm happy he's doing it, is how great a place Buffalo is. And, I'm fortunate that I got to enjoy that while Ralph Wilson, the original owner of the Buffalo Bills, was there. And he set an amazing standard that when I got to Buffalo, I was laughing at people that were saying, I hate blah, blah, blah. I said, you ain't never been.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's like. It's actually cool. A kid coming from college, coming to play pro ball there, it's like being back in college.
I was about to say, you right back
You know
with the atmosphere in the stadium.
I never
the fans
grew up.
Yeah.
You know, I never had to grow up. I was a Toys R Us kids my entire time in Buffalo. So, I mean, and people were like, "About Buffalo?" I'm like, yeah. So, sleep on it. But now the covers pulled back because Vaughn's telling everybody, and Vaughn's worldly respected, highly respected throughout the NFL, all over, media savvy guy. And he's telling people, he's like, yo, Buffalo's the real deal. It's a cool place to play, really friendly, relaxing. You can focus on your football in Buffalo, you know. And he was smart enough to find Buffalo a team that has all the right things for him to succeed. And we're happy to have him here because this is an ideal place for him to, you know, add on to his legacy. You know, we all respect him, and he's actually bringing the wood. So we're gonna love him even more. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Darryl Talley gonna think he's one of his teammates. Darryl Talley believes every Buffalo Bill is a teammate. We all teammates. Like it don't matter the era, don't matter the time. Once you wore the Buffalo Bills uniform, I'm teammate with T.O., with Billy Shaw, Joe DeLama, you name it. Yeah, we all teammates.
That's awesome. I actually like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's Darryl Talley. That's the real deal.
Shout out to Spider-Man. Absolutely. Yeah. Very dope. I agree with you. You know, superstar coming in, you know, you hear what other people think about Buffalo, and then you live in Buffalo and you're like, what? That don't even sound like, you know what I mean? So
you don't know.
Come to Buffalo, and there was like a building and it said, keep Buffalo a secret. And I mean, I think the secret's out the bag now. But all right, let's go ahead and take a look around the AFC. Okay, like just looking at it, I mean, maybe a little underwhelming. You know, we saw what the teams look like that were built in the AFC and how that looked in the offseason, and we were expecting the AFC West to be maybe the greatest division of all time, and we were expecting, you know, the AFC North to be a dogfight. We're expecting the AFC South to perform, you know, well, and the AFC East was really, I mean, we're expecting them to kind of look garbage outside of the Bills, right? And kind of feels like everything is flipped on its head. So we're just going to go by division real quick so that it's not to take up too much time. We'll just get started with the AFC East as a whole, right? Buffalo Bills lead the AFC East at 5-1. The New York Jets are second place.
The Jets is
4-2. Absolutely wild. Miami Dolphins are in third place at 3-3 after being in first place, you know, momentarily. And then the New England Patriots are running up the rear at 3-3 as well. Taking a look at that, I mean, the biggest surprise is obviously the Jets. But what are your thoughts as the division as a whole, like how well they performed throughout the season?
I think the way it looks right now, we're going to have more than one AFC East team in the playoffs, right? Because our situation over here in the AFC East, what is it? We have more teams that have more wins.
Yeah.
Meaning our worst team has 3 wins.
Our worst team is at 500. There's no other division in the AFC that can say that.
Exactly. Nobody else could say that. And you were right. All the reporters and the analysts at the beginning of the season were looking at the transactions that were happening over in the West and thought the West was going to be running away with it in a slight nod to the Bills. But now you're seeing that these AFC East teams have some fight in them. And I think all of the AFC teams, except for, I say right now, Dolphins have a little turmoil with the quarterback situation because that was good, but then it's gone bad, and we don't know how that's going to recover. But everyone else, the Jets and the Patriots, they look like they could be on the upside of things and being more competitive. And definitely they're going to go out and beat other teams over in the West, in the North, and in the South. So the AFC is clearly the strongest group of competitive teams. How many of our teams will make it into the playoffs? I think there's another one. That's South. I'm sure we'll go through all of the other ones.
We'll get to that, but you just said something really, really interesting. You said another AFC East team is going to make the playoffs. Now, I don't think that is quite a hot take. However, I do need to ask you what team you think that's going to be.
Now you're talking. I'm calling for. No one could have predicted that the JETSs will be in this situation. And I'm fortunate that I'm here in the city, I get to see a lot of their games and highlights. Everybody better watch out. Because if they keep on the way that they're going to give a lot of people a hard way to go. So that would be my other team. This totally surprising. And everybody knows. Nobody had the Jets pick. Honestly, I think everybody was thinking the Jets were going to play for a new quarterback. And here they are, and they fighting people, and they're beating teams that were predicted to beat them. So that would be my surprise team. And let's never count out the Patriots somewhere in the back, but I would say more a stronger up. I would say thumbs up will go to the Jets, and the Patriots is kind of like a halfway, and the Dolphins is really wait and see because that whole Tua situation could derail their entire season. Really,
yeah, absolutely could. Before we move on, a little nugget I want to drop for all of you guys out there, right? If you take all the points a team has scored, that is their points for, and then all the points they've allowed, the points allowed, right? And you subtract the points allowed from the points scored, you get net points, right? Mm-hmm. The Buffalo Bills are number one in the AFC. I would imagine probably the NFL as a whole, but I don't have those numbers in front of me. Actually, I do.
Yeah,
no, I'm not wrong. Yes, they are number one in the NFL in net points with 95. The Kansas City Chiefs are second in the AFC with 30. And then the Eagles are second overall in the NFL with 56. And then San Francisco also has a net points of 33. So the Bills are at 95 net points. The next closest team is the Philadelphia Eagles with 56. So that's roughly 40 points more than the next closest team. That's pure dominance, Yeah. So, all right, next up, let's go ahead and look at the AFC North. We have the Baltimore Ravens at the top of the division as of right now at 3-3. Cincinnati Bengals in second place at 3-3 as well. And then the Cleveland Browns and Pittsburgh Steelers, respectively, at third and fourth with 2-4. What are your thoughts on how the AFC North has shaken out so far?
If the Baltimore Ravens don't right the ship, the North is going to be very struggling. They're going to have a poor showing in the playoffs, and whoever gets there will not be anything worth any competition unless it's the Ravens. And listen, I'm sorry to say that to Cincinnati, Because I know Cincinnati believes, and they have the pieces, but sometimes it happens that way. I mean, you went to the Super Bowl, you think it's going to be the same team. It's not the same team. Every year is different. Every year changes, no matter what. You can't once it's done, it's done. You're on to something new. And I don't think the Bengals are going to right the ship right now. The Ravens have the most potential in righting the ship and getting it right and having a competitive playoff team, because you see what they have. We beat them, but they were competitive enough to make it a serious game if they clean up their mistakes. So I don't worry about them. The Steelers, they finding their way, new quarterback. And I'm curious about the Cleveland Browns, what kind of sidelined their momentum. It seemed like they had some type of momentum going forward. They've slowed down in the last week or so. They do have Watson showing up sometime here at the end of the season.
Week 11 or 13. I can't remember which one.
Now, they're a great team to wait and see, because they've played some good games and won some games that you thought they probably wouldn't win. And here they are in a position where they can make something of their season if they get some consistent play out there. They have enough talent. I mean, Chubb, as good as it gets running the ball, and they committed to running the ball, and they have enough defense over there to be competitive. But I wouldn't mind any one of these teams the first game you play in the playoffs. You know what I mean? You'd be like, yeah, okay, all right, let's take the North.
I do agree. I think the Ravens will be a little sneaky, just because how great Lamar is and everything that goes with him. But any other team, come to Buffalo. I would welcome it. I personally don't believe in the Bengals at all. And I've been saying that all offseason, and they've just proved me right through 6 weeks. So, and like you said, we'll see what the Browns, we'll see what they look like when Deshaun Watson comes back, and then we'll see what they look like with Deshaun Watson. There's still, a lot, to be shown and a lot to be discovered later on in the season. All right, next up, we got the AFC South. The Tennessee Titans are in first place with 3-2. The Indianapolis Colts came back, and they won a game versus the Chiefs. So that helped them a lot. They are now 3-2-1. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 2-4, and the Houston Texans are 1-3-1. I mean, not the best division in the world.
I would say these guys are definitely don't sleep on them group.
Which one?
Oh, the whole division. Don't sleep on any of them. And they are weird group. Definitely Tennessee, I think, sets the tone down there in that division. But the damn Texans can be surprising. You know what I mean? One of these sporadic teams that could, play a rugged game and win at the last minute or take you to overtime. They got that. Jacksonville's got the potential to have an on day and hit all of their prime, athletes are on point, and they make it tough for you to battle them. Not that any of them make you worry, but it's just like, okay, don't go in and think these guys are the sisters of the poor. These are real. Mike Vrabel and them damn Titans is dangerous. He coaches them well. They play a rugged, ball controlling, clock possession that can affect a lot of outcomes in games, just their style. And then turn around, you got the Colts over there. I don't know if their running back is out completely for the season, but if they nickel and dime a couple of games here and there until that guy gets back in, they're dangerous. They're a dangerous team when they can, get all of that stuff. So the tail of the tape over there with all of those guys is, who is the most healthy team, and who is playing with the hot hand, because we know any one of them, when they're not hot, they're not hot. They're not going to win. In Indianapolis, when they're not hot, they're not going to find a way to win. In Tennessee, if they're not hot, they're not going to find a way to win. They make it rugged. Now, the only team, if they not hot and they still make it trouble for you to win the game, actually could be the Texans. Just how they coach. They one of those teams, like, don't sleep on them. You gotta go in and knock them in the mouth and let them know why they haven't won any games, and then let them fall back on that. So I look at the South as a dangerous group of should beats. You should beat them, you should win, but you're gonna have to get rugged to beat them. You're not gonna fancy smancy, will and deal. You're gonna have to punch them a few good times in the mouth to make them back down, to make them turn around.
To your point, AFC South is interesting because I told you the standings. It goes Titans, Colts, Jaguars, Texans. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the net points, the Jaguars lead the division from the 3 spot, and net points at plus 24. The Texans are second in the division at minus 13. Yeah. Then the Colts, who are second, are third at minus 18. And then the Titans are dead last at minus 22. So very odd division. You can tell that maybe some teams might have snuck some wins and some teams might have lost some heartbreakers, i.e. the Jaguars and the Texans. So, very, very interesting division. All right, last but not least for the AFC, we have the AFC West. This was the division that everybody thought was going to be one of the best of all time.
Oh, overrated. Way overrated.
Absolutely. We got the Chiefs at the top of the division at 4-2, coming off of a loss to the mighty Buffalo Bills. We have the Los Angeles Chargers, who are second in the division at 4-2 with a net points of minus 11. Mm-hmm. They have 4 wins and 2 losses, and they have minus 11 net points. That is, wow.
Right.
The Denver Broncos are in third at minus 8 somehow, and the Las Vegas Raiders are in dead last at 1-4 with a net points of minus 5. This is mind blowing. I don't even know how this is possible. So Raiders are technically second in the division in net points. They're dead last. And then the Chargers are dead last in the division at net points, and they're second. What are your thoughts on this division, how it's shaking out, and what they could look like going forward for the rest of the season?
Justice, you tell me something. How can, there's a lot of shows that pay a lot of money to people that analyze all of these topics and issues that we're talking about right now. They get paid big money. You know what I mean? Easy money. All of them wrong. And not one is right. The AFC West, the Wild Wild West, they got all the hype because of the quarterbacks' names that are out there.
Sure did.
Have nothing to do with the teams that are playing, because these teams aren't really totally complete. They got a couple of parts here. Kansas City is clearly a complete team, well coached, lots of talented players, outstanding, consistent quarterback. Chargers, they talk about Chargers because of the potential, not actual. Yep. Because actually they play some tight games, but they're not hitting that note. They're not hitting that note. Their defense is supposed to be better. Obviously, there's some injuries and things like that causing them some problems. And then you slide over to Denver. Poor Denver. They've they've turned on, the media has turned on poor Russell. Russell is the nicest, sweetest, most down-to-earth human on earth. They done turned and dogging him straight out, calling him everything but washed up. His coach is everything but a buffoon. I mean, this is the words of what's on national broadcast right now about these guys.
Not like Nathaniel Hackett.
Oh man, the poor Nat, man. You know, I grew up. I went to Pitt, and his dad was my head coach at the time. And Nathaniel, on Thanksgiving, you know, while I played at Pitt, and his dad was there. We used to go to their house for Thanksgiving and sit up. And Nathaniel was just a little kid. Never even thought in a million years that he would end up being head coach. I mean, he was just playing video games at the time when I met him. But I know he has a good football mind. But here's the thing. Von Miller did a good job of vetting the team that he went to. Some of these other guys, I think, because we're in this area of the AFC West, the Chargers, Khalil Mack went to the Chargers, right? Doesn't mean that it's the best move for him. He's doing okay, but, you know, see what's happening. Broncos, they bring in Russell.
Russell Wilson, yeah.
Not happening. Raiders,
not at all, really.
And the Raiders go and poach Aaron Rodgers' best receiver to bring it back to his old college buddy, and they flat. You know what I mean? They flat. They got too many mistakes that's going on over there that's causing them trouble. Now, with all of this said, these teams are still very dangerous. I mean, clearly Kansas City is ahead of all of them. But the rest of these teams, the Raiders are definitely dangerous. Kansas City is dangerous. I think you could take this division and take them over to the AFC North and the AFC South and probably, you know, give all of them hell. You know, if it was a round robin, they'd probably give them hell. But I don't see the Raiders, Chargers, and Broncos progressing or improvement. I don't give them a sign of they're on the rise. I think they either flatlined or, you know, they're going to need a defibrillator soon. You know, especially Denver. Denver going to have to get a backiotomy and something else, you know, because that is not right with what's going on out there. And the Raiders are just underachieving, and the Chargers themselves, I think they in some ways are still young and need a little bit more development and maybe some more young superstars to go along with some of them players that they got out.
What's really weird is the Chargers are 4-2. The Raiders are 1-4. Mm-hmm. I think the Raiders are better than the Chargers. I do.
I agree.
I don't know why this is like. I mean, if you look at the Raiders, their net points -5. They've only scored 5 less points than they've allowed. Like, I think that says something. You know, it speaks volumes that they just can't close out games. And, you know, that has a lot to do with your head coach and your quarterback. And I think Derek Carr is competent. I think he's good.
He's good, but he needs more help. He needs more help to win.
And not only that, but Josh McDaniels, just I don't know what's going on with him, but he needs to figure it out because I think that's a good roster over there, and they have potential, but they just cannot close out games.
I think Josh McDaniels need therapy. He need to go see a therapist because don't something look not right when you see him? Don't he look like maybe he's crazy or maybe I'm projecting? I'm sorry.
No, it looks like he's trying to like be
don't he
what
look like he's
Belichick
like a
was.
kid that you trusted him to do it, but he really don't know how to do it.
Yeah, he's like chasing his tail a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute, man. I thought you was better than that. I thought you had this down, but he's still missing an element that's getting him over the hump. He's smart. You know what I mean?
He can run an
Intelligent.
offense for sure.
He's wrong. Something's wrong.
Just he can't. It doesn't seem like he has the ability to necessarily run a football team.
Right. Right.
So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Last topic we got on the docket for today is, hey, we talked about it. Buffalo Bills coming off of a huge win against the Kansas City Chiefs, and they get rewarded for it because they get a week off, right?
Yeah.
Bye week for the Bills. We're still going to find a way to tailgate, but
yeah,
bye week for the Bills. And they look like the best football team in the league. I mean, we've been talking about net points all game, or all show rather. They are the best team in the league if you look at it from that perspective. If you look at it from a roster perspective, they're the best team in the league. If you look at it from a resume perspective, as far as the season goes, as far as teams you beat and how you beat them, they look like the best team in every way, shape, form, and fashion. Outside of record, the Eagles have a better record. The Bills look like the best team in every other way. What do they need to work on this bye week? What kind of things do they need to focus on in order to continue this dominance and lift up the Lombardi in February?
All right. So during the bye week, you got to self-scout really quick. And you got to analyze what's already on film and see the mistakes are clear. That's obvious. But you also have to pick up on what your tendencies are so that you can now see what the opposing team is seeing from you, and you can kind of alter that picture. So if you have a good, let's say, run play to the left, just a simple run play to the left. That's the play that's working. Everybody in the league starting to see it and catch up to it. And now they want to shift over and try to stop you from doing it. Now you have to think, okay, they're shutting this down. What can we do off of it? What could be our other options?
Make adjustments to the adjustments.
Make your adjustments to your adjustments. Because everyone's constantly adjusting throughout the game. So you have to give, I would say, it's like you got to give yourself an out always. It's like an investor goes in and you need to know the worst case scenario and how do we get out if the worst thing happens. And that's what you're kind of doing. You're like, all right, everybody's piling in the box here. So how do we get out of this? Or how do we get something out of this? Or how do we use this to now set them up for something else we want? Yep. So you got enough time to go through a lot of this, analysis. But truly what you want to focus in on is you start saying, all right, what are we good at? And whatever we're good at, we're going to improve it, polish it up, get it healthy and strong, because we need to know what our true identity is and always implement that, because that is what got us the wins, and that's what's going to get us the Super Bowl. So, and honestly, for the Bills, I can self-scouting them up to now. They are the most aggressive killer instinct team in the NFL.
Yeah, they put their foot on your neck.
Right from the get-go. Like the door open and the bull is kicking. Yeah. And then bull come out of that motherfucking stall and your ass gonna get trampled if you don't watch out, or run and jump in the barrel with the clown, because the Bills come out kicking. And there's a lot of options with that. And as long as they can keep that momentum, I think that they're really strong, very formidable team. And then look, there's little things that they're going to self-scout. They're going to say, okay, we had a few fumbles, we are offsides, and we had this penalty and that penalty, and we're going to address, all right, let's cut down on these types of holding penalties. We're going to work on some blocking techniques so that we can remember to keep our hands in the proper place. So, you'll work on little fundamental basic stuff and not really get too complicated because, really their real momentum is, feed them dogs gunpowder and wait for the game to show up and let them out, So I think the Bills are having this is a great time for them to kind of get healthy as they could possibly get at this point in time. That's probably what I would say the highest thing on their list opposed other than self-scouting, because I think a lot of people overuse that self-scouting thing. It's just go back to see what you did wrong, see what you like to do, and just say, all right, clean that up, and we go practice that and get a rep at it, and then it's more we moving on, because you may self-scout yourself today and it's the bye week. What about 3 weeks from now? You know what I mean? So, it's just what you can do now. It ain't going to necessarily go to the bye week. I figured out all the problems and we set for the year because we had the bye week. Hell no.
Right.
You're gonna get in the next game and at halftime, you're going to have to make adjustments then. Yep. So you better be telling yourself, I'm always self-scouting, always analyzing, always breaking it down. It never stops.
Absolutely. All right, before we get up out of here, I want to leave you with one more question, a two-part question. You mentioned how the bye week is an opportunity to self-scout and to look at, what you do best and what you can't do and what you should scrap, what you should keep, etc. What are the Bills' biggest strengths and what are the Bills' biggest weaknesses? So let's start with weakness.
Mm-hmm. Their weakness is their commitment to an actual, I said, design run game. And it hasn't really cropped up and where it's a factor that they needed that type of run in order to either win the game, control a game, or whatever, because what's been working for them is their strength, So their weakness, the run game, it hasn't anything. Nobody's forced them to have to, get into that mode. Josh is healthy, thankfully. So, we can lean on, start the game. I mean, hasn't every game that they play, they start in shotgun and drop bombs on first play of the game. Then they don't wait to get to it. You know what I mean? You came to see the big bomb show, and that's what they give you. So the run game has suffered in that way. And I think the weakness of the running backs being comfortable running the ball, the offensive coordinator and the quarterback being comfortable calling a play where they turn around and hand it off to a running back. So I think that right now I can see as the Bills' weakness.
Okay. And what is their biggest strength that they should exploit going forward for the rest of the season?
Their big playability. I mean, hands down. They got more big playability than anyone in the NFL. They can get big plays out of people other than Stephon Diggs. And it all starts with Josh. And Josh is just the big play waiting to happen every time. You know what I mean? And big play meaning, Diggs could take it to the house, put it in the end zone after catching it. Davis can catch it and put it in the end zone. But then you have the other guys that can just catch it in key moments and make a big play. The running backs can come out of the backfield. Gibbs. What's the running back? The one
Singletary or Cook?
Singletary. Yeah. I mean, they could catch the ball and make big plays. Tight end make big plays, make first down. The slot receivers and different guys catching the ball to move the chains, making big plays. So their big play ability. I mean, Every time I watch them start the game, I say, man, don't start with a pass. Well, you don't start.
Then what they do, starting shotgun.
Start with shotgun and drop bombs. Now, anybody know me? I would be the first lineman up there complaining, and people be like, "Oh, Rube, come on, man, just go and play." Now, I ain't so hardcore run. If we get back there, you get in the shotgun and you drop bombs, I'd say, well, then let's keep doing that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to shy away from it. So that's their strong suit. Put them in the shotgun, let them get off to an amazing start, and just start spreading that rock around. So I'm all for it, but I just know a championship team is going to need that turn around, hand it off to one of them running backs at some point in time, and I need 1 yard, I need 2 yards, and I can't use Josh to get it. I'm going to have to do something else. And you need that to keep them off of Josh's back.
Yep.
So that's why I say the weakness, but the strength is Josh Allen. I'm starting to sound like, what's that commercial? I love you, Josh. I love you, Josh Allen. This is the NFL commercial.
Yep.
I think everybody in Buffalo going to sleep with that, laying on their pillow. I love you, Josh Allen.
Hey, I don't think you're wrong. I think the majority of us absolutely share that sentiment. But all right, man, we've gone for 71 minutes. Great episode today. Hey, this is why you guys tune in, because you get to listen to the thoughts, the processes, the breakdowns from a Hall of Fame legend like Ruben Brown himself. And it is a pleasure working with you. Great getting to talk to you again. And we want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. We appreciate all the love and support you guys give every single time. The comments and likes and retweets, repost, all of it. You guys know we appreciate it. So thank you. Anything else you want to give the fans before we hop up out of here, Root?
No, I just say one love, Justice. You the man. I appreciate it. I love doing this with you. And I tell everybody out there, Mafia is family.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Go Bills.
Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports contests and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Now, find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. Bet Online continues to be the top online resource for all sports information, from live in-game betting props and futures. Head to Bet Online today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Now, use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your 50%. Welcome your bonus on your first deposit. Now, Bet Online is where